This is a video for Algebra 1 Summer School, Unit 1, Lesson 3, Solving Equations and Inequalities Practice. I'm going to work through numbers 2, 4, and 5 on this practice video. If you have questions on how to do any of the other 12 problems, you need to look at the key on Canvas, or you need to come in and talk to your instructor during office hours. All right, so for number 2, we have the equation m over 3 minus 3 is less than or equal to negative 6. I'm going to rewrite that down here so that I have room to work. So just like when I solve an equation, I need to put my line down to organize the problem. Okay? I have a fraction here, and I have negative 3 that is outside of the fraction, which means that I need to deal with getting rid of that negative 3 by adding 3 before I can work with the fraction. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides, and it's going to make it go away. And I'm going to be left with m over 3 is less than or equal to 9. Oh, I forgot the negative here, so that would make a big difference in my final answer. I have negative 6 plus 3, I'm sorry, gives me a negative 3 here. Okay, glad I caught that early. Now, in order to solve for m, I need to get rid of the 3 in the denominator. I always have to get rid of the 3 by multiplying by 3 on both sides. 3 is positive, so I don't have to flip the sign, but my final answer ends up being m is less than or equal to negative 9. In order to graph that on my number line, what I do is I first think about how I need a closed dot at negative 9 because there is the line underneath this inequality symbol. Then I have to think about which way to make the arrow go. Less than negative 9 is off to the left here. So I'm going to shade my graph to the left. That is the solution set of all the possible numbers that make this inequality in number 2 true. Let's go ahead and look at number 4 now. Negative 4 times negative 4 plus x is greater than 56. Just like the first problem, I'm going to rewrite it here so that we have a little bit more room to work. When I solve this first, I need to distribute the negative 4. I want to get rid of the parentheses on the left-hand side. Well, negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16, and negative 4 times x is minus 4x. I now have that 16 minus 4x is greater than 56. Okay? Now, in order to get x by itself, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides. That allows me to get the term with the x by itself and say that that is greater than 40. Finally, in order to get x all alone, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4. X then, because I divided by a negative, here's where you have to be careful. The sign is going to flip because I divided by a negative. And now I have the solution x is less than negative 10. Because the symbol is less than, I end up putting an open circle at negative 10. And it's less than, so I'm going to shade to the left where all the numbers are smaller than negative 10. That's the solution set. Any number under this shaded line would make the inequality true. Now the last problem I'm going to do with you is number 5. I have negative b minus 2 is greater than 8. I'm going to start by putting my line down for organization. And I'm going to start by adding 2 to both sides. When I add 2 to both sides, I end up with negative b is greater than 10. Well, I have to be really careful here in order to get b by itself because I'm not done. I have to remember that there's an invisible 1 in front of that b. So in order to get b by itself, I actually have to divide by negative 1. When I divide by negative 1, an alarm should go off in your head saying that I have to flip the sign that b is now less than negative 10. Okay? But when I get b is less than negative 10, then I'm going to put an open circle on negative 10 because there's no line under the inequality. And less than is shading to the left. If you have questions on any other problems on this practice, please look at the key that's posted on Canvas or come in and ask your instructor for help.